It is Sunday, June 6th, 2025, 1:59 p.m. I am in a locked, shut car on a hot day, but that is how I decided to run this channel, so I will suffer in the heat. I am reading 4 Days of Doubt, one day at a time. Today's day 28. The question asked is, why are Christians no fun? I will read this chapter, read my last year's response, and we'll call it a video, unless I have any input from my modern day self. Why are Christians no fun? Confession time. I love dark TV shows and movies. The bloodier the better. I like to share a bottle of wine with my wife over dinner. I happen to think sex is fun, whether or not you're making a baby. I laugh at raunchy stand-up comedy. I curse, not a lot, just when I'm alone in my car or coaching Little League. I don't curse at the boys, just in my mind sometimes. Like when little Timmy would rather roll in the grass than play respectable right field defense. Like anyone, if I had to choose between heaven and hell, I'd rather go to heaven. But if heaven is full of straight-laced Christians who don't curse in traffic and who judge me for drinking, and if hell is full of comedians, rock stars, and rebels, well, I just don't know. Last year, my city was brought to its knees when Hurricane Harvey dropped 50 inches of rain on us. 82 people died, and tens of thousands of people were displaced by the floods. It was a nightmare of apocalyptic proportions. 4 months later, my church gathered for our first Christmas Eve since Harvey. Because everyone was still dealing with PTSD, I decided to use my Christmas Eve sermon as an opportunity to help people relax and laugh a little. So in the middle of our Christmas Eve candlelight service, I showed a clip of my favorite news segment during Harvey. The segment was shot from inside a rescue boat, where some middle-aged men from Louisiana, known locally as the Louisiana Cajun Navy, were tending to a family they just rescued from the flood. When the oldest Cajun in the boat took a bottle of what was obviously vodka, poured it into a shot glass, and offered it to one of the victims. The female news anchor back in the studio said, "Look at that, he's giving them some water." To which the male anchor responded, "Yeah, I don't think that's water." And then, as if on cue, the old Cajun hero produced another bottle. This one had the Ozarka label, and the male anchor said, "Ah, there's the water." I offered my traumatized community some hope by saying it's okay to party at Christmas, especially after the year we've had. For Joseph and Mary, Jesus was their party after a really hard year. Joy is who Jesus is. Jesus is the party. Jesus is a shot of vodka in a rescue boat when your house is underwater. Most people got what I was trying to say, but predictably, a few hardcore Christians were outraged that I would compare Jesus to a shot of vodka. Those emails are always fun to read on Christmas morning. Sometimes I don't get why believers are such buzzkills. When the church was born, the first Christians threw the craziest parties. There were men and women eating and drinking, singing and dancing, and even if they came from different places and spoke different languages, they loved God and understood one another. The first church was so party-heavy that the very first criticisms levied against it by those on the outside was, quote, "They are full of new wine." Acts 2, verse 13. To be clear, new wine had higher alcohol content than regular wine. They could have said they're full of wine, but that wouldn't have done justice to what was happening in the church. Those Christians didn't just look drunk, they looked sloppy drunk. Of course, they weren't drunk, at least not on wine. God's Spirit was moving in them, flying them high as kites. I have to keep wiping the sweat off my nose. They were so elated to be in God together that their church services looked like raves. I don't know when Christians stop having fun. Most people look at the Bible as a problem. Most people look at the Bible as the problem. They see a long list of rules followed by Jesus, followed by another long list of rules. But the Bible isn't the problem. It's less than 3% rules, and it's 35% poetry, and it's 100% story. It's full of humor. Remember that talking donkey? Yeah, the talking donkey that you never elaborated on whether it was real or not. Anyways. It's full of humor. Remember that talking donkey? Family drama, suspense, romance, and sex. Try to read these verses from the Song of Songs without blushing. My beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh resting between my breasts. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyards. With great delight I sat in his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his intention toward me was love. I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the fields, and lodge in the villages. Let us go out early to the vineyards, and see whether the vines have budded, whether the grape blossoms have opened, and the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. A bunch of Song of Song like verses and dashes and stuff. 1, 13-14, 2, 3-4, 2, 16, 7, 11, 12. Quoting all of the stuff he just mentioned in Song of Songs. That's so hot. So how did Christians get so cold? I think the problem is religion. Religion is all about control. And when religious leaders take hold of something powerful like the Bible, they instinctively twist it to control people. Does the Bible give people boundaries and rules to live by? Yes. But those are rules meant to are those rules meant to manipulate and scare people into submission? No. One time I went to hear a popular artist speak at a museum in Kansas City. She looked exactly how you'd expect a modern artist to look. Dreadlocks, tattoos, her shirt looked like a tablecloth from the Cracker Barrel, full hipster. After her lecture, she took some questions from the local art students, and one of them asked her how she decides to begin painting. And she said, the first step in the creative process is knowing your boundaries. I'd love to paint the whole city, but I can't. Before I paint, I need a canvas. I need to know its dimensions. Then it hit me. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is knowing the size of your canvas and being unafraid to begin. That's what following Jesus is all about. There are rules, sure, but their only purpose is to make you more alive, more joyful, and more creative. With Jesus, no matter your past or present circumstances, you're free to live. So don't be afraid to start living today. And then my response from last year is, I think I agree too closely with most of what's said in this installment to give any meaningful input without going on a bit of a tangent. But let's not forget, the fact that religion can be used to control is the reason it's as popular as it is, or even still around at all. This dangerous, unequivocal belief in something so illogical leaves people with less hesitation to push said beliefs onto others. Whether it's something we can agree is generally considered good, or it is from one of those people we disagree to condemn something that we see as just a bit of fun. Or at least that's my interpretation of the correlation between Christians and buzzkills. So I guess the general theme of what I was saying in that, I guess last year is the only reason Christianity is as popular as it is today, or even around at all, is because it can be, yes, used to control people. And I guess the correlation between Christians and buzzkills is the same as a correlation between illogical people who just want to have fun and illogical people who want to have fun their way. Whether you disagree with them or not. And whether you disagree with me or not, always question why.